Hi friends, I welcome you all to the course Business to Business Marketing. I am sure you must be doing pretty well. So, today we are going to discuss about e-procurement and how supplier evaluation is done in B2B cases. So, there are two topics of discussion today. So, let us start from where we had left. So, last class we were discussing about strategic sourcing and why strategic sourcing is so important from an organizational perspective, right. So, we understood that strategic sourcing is an evolution, right, which has moved from traditional buying processes which were more cost oriented and less strategic in nature, right. So, what happened in strategic is that you started involving your suppliers, your partners, and you try to develop through better technology and use new innovative measures. So, doing all this has brought in a holistic growth for the firms and the companies as a whole, because they started gaining these advantages and it boils down finally to improve their profitability and to do a better business. Okay. And meanwhile, all this was happening, one more thing that has added up to the scale of business is and how business is done is e-procurement. So, nowadays if you talk about any business to business organization, now if there is any business, we mostly try to do our businesses with the help of electronic or online some transactions. So, e-procurement is a technology based approach that automates your procurement process, right. For example, let us say there is a manufacturer and a seller, okay, or a distributor, let us say. Now, the manufacturer is supplying certain items to the distributor, right. So, there is, let us say if I draw like this, there is a manufacturer and there are, let us say 3 distributors D1, D2 and D3, okay. And these distributors again have retailers, right, R1, R2, R3, it goes on. So, now e-procurement has, or internet has changed the way business is being done. Nowadays what is happening, through electronic data intelligence systems, you are able to understand ki how much of sales has happened in the retailer's point, and that is reflected in to the distributor also, and whatever changes are happening in the distributor's end, that is gets reflected in the manufacturer. So, by understanding what sales is happening, what is the rate of the sales and all at each point, and which, because for example, this is the south zone, this is the let us say north zone, this is let us say the western zone. So, even zone wise how business is happening and how much of sales is happening and which particular distributors how they are performing, a company comes to know about everything. But when you talk about procurement, is that even helpful in procurement? Yeah, it is helpful. Now, how it is helpful in procurement? For example, e-procurement or electronic procurement, now if you go back, now from here if you go back one step, now there are suppliers. Let us say a manufacturer has S1, S2, 2 suppliers who are supplying components to the manufacturer. So, these suppliers also, because they are they are connected to the manufacturer, they also come to know ki what is the current stage of the manufacturer in terms of raw material, in terms of the components and all, right. So, accordingly what they will do is they will try to supply the materials to the manufacturer. So, this has created a very positive scenario for everyone in the involved in the entire chain, right. So, the supplier gains, the manufacturer gains with some real time information, and they can come to know ki what exactly is the demand in the market, which product is in demand, how much it is in demand, and how the sales is happening, everything. Now, e-procurement has led to 4 important things. One, it has led to online negotiations. So, now earlier days what used to happen, used to go to the supplier's place and do some negotiation, try to reduce the price or try to negotiate about the quality of the material or something. But nowadays you do not have to move anywhere, you just have to sit down at your place and have a through a online you can negotiate with the supplier. Similarly, you have got collaboration tools which help in understanding the requirements from the supplier and the buyer's point of view. So, they can collaborate and they can maybe even help each other in trying to understand how much demand would be there, how much the need would be there in certain period of time, what kind of inventory levels are being maintained, what kind of buffer stocks are being maintained. So, everything can be understood. Knowledge management tools also are very helpful because they provide you market information and they try to help you to understand what are the changes in the market that is going to come and how this demand would be changed, and the product might become less and less in demand in the future, and some new kind of products are being more in demand for the same utility. So, this kind of information is very helpful to the marketer because it keeps the marketer always at toes and helps it to innovate and create new products. Similarly, you have analytical tools which are helpful in understanding what kind of market share you are having, what kind of sales you are having for a particular kind of product, and as I said, where you are selling, how much you are selling, which distributor is performing in which way, and in which is it a seasonal product or it is has a complete yearly, it has a constant growth throughout the year. So, what kind of a sales and all you are having. So, Eprocurement has led to a very comprehensive and holistic growth and understanding for the firms. Okay. Now, use of email and other tools allow online real time communication between the stakeholders. So, you have email facilities, you have online interaction facilities. Today you can speak on WebEx, for example, let us say a Google Hangout or meet somebody through some platform. So, that has created a very easy and less expensive method of communicating and negotiating with your suppliers. For example, if you see two sites which I have mentioned here, one is metaljunction.com and coaljunction.com. So, one is for steel and the other is for coal. Now, these are sites which have been created and which has helped in online negotiation, online sales of the coal and steel products. Okay. Now, here auctions do happen and the bidders participate, the suppliers participate and they quote different prices, and then the one with maybe the lowest cost, who can supply at the lowest cost, would be selected, right. So, this is a kind of a situation which is reverse auction in nature. Okay. So, what happens, one thing that happens in online negotiation is that it enables the buyer to find out about suppliers, right, with a request for proposal. Now, request for proposal, request for information and request for quotation, there are three things that you require. So, we say these three RFX, we write it like this RFX, right. So, request for proposal, quotation and information, and then what kind of softwares also you require and all these things. And online negotiations also help you in conducting the reverse auctions which I just showed you, right. So, generally in an auction what happens, you have let us say there is one seller trying to sell, let us say this product, and there will be 10 buyers or 20 buyers or 5 buyers, and each buyer quotes a price and the highest bidding would be accepted, right. But in a reverse auction the reverse happens, right. Here the seller would be bidding, right. For example, a buyer says that I would buy this product, right. Now, you can bid for it. Now, for example, let us say the government wants to purchase 10 aircrafts. Okay. Now, it would go for a reverse auction. Now, what happens here? There will be different sellers or suppliers who can provide you this service or this product, and now they would be bidding. So, the one who can bid at the lowest cost, the government might select them, right. So, this is what happens in a reverse auction case, which is opposite of a general auction. Okay. And in collaborative tools, as I said with internal stakeholders, it helps you to collaborate with the internal stakeholders to fix the details of the goods needed. Now, as I said, you with your manufacturer, distributor, retailer, the wholesaler, you kind of you are having a relationship, a collaboration, and you come to know what are the different, how many units of a product has been sold from the retailer's end, and how many has been sold from the wholesalers or the distributors end. So, the company can do a better forecasting, the company can come to know how many units have been already sold and what is how many more we should produce now at the moment. So, there is no unnecessary inventory piling up and there is no pressure on this. So, there was a very popular case of Marico, right. So, Marico had this problem where they had a really a tough time when the distributors and wholesalers were finding it tough to push the product in the market, because every time Marico was distributing or selling its product to the distributor, passing on the product to the distributor wholesaler, they had not completed the sales. So, there was some kind of inventory which was lying with them, right. So, some inventory was lying with them. Now, this inventory that was lying with them, that and you got a fresh stock of the inventory now. So, new inventory, let us say new. So, now this plus this added on, so it became a larger inventory. So, this became a tough time for the distributor, wholesaler, retailers. So, this created a lot of trouble. So, Marico came with a software which was called Midas. Now, it was a system which they developed called Marico Industries Distribution Automation Software, right. So, Marico Industries Distribution Automation Software, this software helped in collaborating or connecting everyone, all these different stakeholders, and as a result what happened, they could understand how much of actually sales is happening and how much should they produce. So, this saved the company not only from blocking its capital, but also creating a bad image in the market or a negative response from the channel of distribution partners. Similarly, it provides a detailed description of requirements to the suppliers through a request for proposal, and it can be simple things like a whiteboard, flip chart, or a software based like shared whiteboards. So, where you can understand each other how much what exactly is happening. So, this helps you in a collaboration. Okay. The third thing is the knowledge management. I was saying capabilities that provide procurement function and senior management with a central repository of valuable data and information on supplier performance, the kind of material they are using, the components, their cost, the process flows, and the practices, the best practices that they are following. So, it helps in things like knowledge creation, sharing of information, managing and creating new products, innovation and bringing in improvement in the products. So, all these things which are very favorable from a customer point of view and obviously from the revenue point of view for the company. Okay. And finally, you have the analytical tools that, as I had said, which supports the detailed analysis and modeling of purchasing cost and total spending by category across the enterprise. So category wise you can say how much we have improved, how much of sales is happening and what kind of improvement is required. So, for example, as you can see, being data driven is seen to give business a competitive advantage. Nowadays, there is a lot of requirement of data scientists and people who understand how to analyze data, right. So, improving your customer experience, improving insights for decision making, it provides you better insights for decision making and it allows you for more innovation. So, these kind of data crunching and data analysis helps you to do such kind of innovations and create better customer experiences and all, right. So, these are very helpful from a customer point of view and a business point of view also. So, you can look at the business e-procurement benefit, some of the benefits that has been brought together. So, approved supplier, better customer experience, right. It helps you in e-sourcing, improved the workflow, invoice processing, manage your spending, how to spend, how much of spending is to be done and all, accuracy of your order and purchase order management, procurement process and time saving. So, these are a few benefits which are self explanatory in nature. So, I am not getting into it, we have already discussed in some other form. So, these are some of the e-procurement benefits and you can understand from in India also nowadays the government has created a e-government marketplace, right, where you can the government institutions and all, they make most of their purchases through the e-government marketplace. So, it is a online marketplace where you can go and maybe check for items that you require and then you follow a standard process and you can make your purchases. Some measurable results of e-procurement include cutting purchasing cycle in half. Now, all this has helps you to unnecessary saving of reducing the wastage of time and cutting down the purchasing cycle, right. It helps in purchasing cost also reduction. So, up to 14% of cost reduction it has been seen, right. So, even if you buy through any online marketplace, now the cost of traveling, searching, all these things are reduced tremendously. Administrative costs are reduced by 60%, that you can imagine how much saving the company can do. And finally, it allows you for a global access to the suppliers, resources and labor. So, all these things are some of the key benefits that you get by e-procurement. Okay. Now, coming to another important part of the discussion, which is today we would make, is suppliers. Now, when we talked about strategic sourcing, right, strategic sourcing. So, we talked about using your suppliers knowledge, your suppliers talent, and so that you do not have to do everything like in earlier days when you were involved in a vertical integration process. So, vertical integration process which has reduced or almost stopped, you can say, and companies have moved into strategic sourcing. So, what it is here, you know that the suppliers play a very important role, right. Suppliers play a very vital and important role. So, how do you assess the suppliers? The question comes, how do you assess the suppliers? So, there are few things. For example, generally when we talk about suppliers, we look at the technical capability of the suppliers. So, that means what kind of a supplier is he, what kind of technical abilities he has got, can he provide us better design, better products and all. In terms of availability, can he deliver the products in the right time, what kind of after sales service, maintenance and after sales service they are providing, sales assistance, right, are they going to help us in selling our products to the new markets, how convenient is it to buy it from them, and are they reliable. So, these are few things that you look in when you talk about assessing your suppliers, and since suppliers become a very important part of the strategic sourcing process, so it becomes important for us to discuss about these issues. So, when we talk about reliability, for example, is the supplier reputable, has a good reputation in the market, stable and financially strong, is the supplier's integrity and ability above doubt, is the supplier going along with the product improvement process. So, is he creating always a improved product, is the supplier's competitive strength as to price, quality, etc., proved by past experience. That means what kind of a supplier is he. So, these are few questions that you will answer. When you talk about technical capability, for example, can the supplier provide assistance as to application engineering, right. So, can the supplier provide assistance as to analytical engineering, can the supplier provide design assistance, can the supplier handle special needs and contribute to improved product efficiency. So, these are few questions that you talk about, what kind of technology are they using, what kind of machines they are using, all these things. When you talk about convenience, you talk about how can the supplier reduce acquisition cost through personal visits, telephonic calls, incoming inspections or rejection of defects, spoilage, right. Can he offer other related products, is he qualified to help in solving difficult problems, is he, that means can he help us in solving difficult problems, does the supplier package his product conveniently. So, these are few things that you look in when you talk about convenience, right. And finally, when you talk about availability, you talk about does the supplier assure delivery in time, are his stocks locally available or at short notice, is the supplier's location advantageous, can he plan his supply to minimize inventory, and can he be depended on for a steady flow of materials. So, these are few questions that you will ask from a availability point of view. When you talk about after sales service, you look at does the supplier have a service organization, is an emergency service available, right, are parts available when needed. See, many of the if you look many of the Chinese products in India, they did not do well for one reason, at least in the automotive sector, because they did not have a good service support, right. And because of this, what happened, the Indians the consumers did not find it worthy to buy, because they thought if you are buying a vehicle, maybe you are buying for 10-20 years, right. So, maybe a slight higher price is okay, but not we cannot compromise on services. Similarly, sales assistance, can the supplier help building mutual markets, will he recommend our products, does the use of supplier's product enhance appearance of our products, or does it increase the brand image. For example, when you look at a Intel Inside, so anybody who writes an Intel Inside, it has that carryover effect of Intel's brand image to that product, maybe if HP is using. So, HP takes a image of even Intel inside, right. Now, how are the supplier evaluation done? So, there are few methods. For example, the first method is called categorical plan. Now, very simple, subjective in nature. Now, here what is done, you can see each department having contact with the suppliers is asked to provide a regular rating of the suppliers against a list of salient performance factors. This is subjective, but it is easy to administer. So, if you are running short of time or something, you can administer this. So, let us say there are 3 suppliers A, B and C. Now, in terms of cost, quality, speed, how do they fare? Now, let us say A, he is good. So, you give a plus, unsatisfactory in terms of quality minus, and in terms of speed neutral. So, what is the total score he gets? Now, plus, minus, 0. So, 0. Similarly, B gets a 0 on neutral in terms of cost, good in terms of quality and good again in terms of speed. So, it gets a double plus, and C let us say 0, minus and then 0, which is again minus. So, when you have such kind of an approach, when you kind of have a such kind of a plan, what you do is you keep informing your supplier about his current position, so that the supplier can improve its position and it can work on those problems where it is performing not so good. Okay. Another approach is the cost ratio plan. Now, cost ratio plan is something where the buying organization evaluates quality, delivery and service in terms of what each one costs. Okay. So, it includes 5 performance factors. So, what are they? Quality, which has got maximum 30 points. So, although I have written it 30 points, it can change with the type of organization. So, it is better that you understand that these are the 5 points: quality, delivery, technology, price and service, and the awarding of points maybe it can vary from industry to industry, company to company. Okay. This method quantifies the total cost of doing business with a supplier by calculating the supplier performance index, which is SPI, to measure total cost of ownership. So, total cost of ownership, I think this word you must have heard from me several times. For a B2B firm, it is important to understand what is the total cost of ownership, right. So, finally, across the life cycle, how much we are spending. So, to do that, supplier performance index is a very important parameter. So, how do you find this? Now, SPI or supplier performance index is equal to total purchase plus non-performance cost divided by total purchase. So, then you have something called cost ratio, which is nothing but the non-performance cost divided by the total purchase. So, I can write this formula as, so if you take these two, so properly this one and this one, so I can write now SPI is equal to total purchase by total purchase, which is 1, plus non-performance cost by total purchase, which is the cost ratio, this one, right. So, let us say somebody gets a score of 1.2. Now, what does it mean? 1.2, 1.1, whatever. So, it would mean that for every rupee spent with that supplier, it spends another 20 paisa on added service cost. So, a higher score indicates that the non-performing cost is increasing. So, one can understand through this that one has to keep a check on the SPI, the score, right. Now, let us take this example. So, let us say there are different elements, for example, plant visit. So, the charge is, let us say you are spending 200 rupees, approving the sample 25 rupees, inspection 75, reworking cost, suppose you need some reworking on the product, paperwork 100, and the total comes to 1000, this is 1000, right. Total value of purchase is, let us say 1 lakh. So, which is, if you look at the quality cost ratio, it is 1%, right, 1%. Now, let us look at 4 firms A, B, C and D. So, let us say the quality cost ratio, this is quality cost ratio. So, we have found out is 1%, 2%, 3% and 2%. Similarly, you can find delivery cost ratio, taking maybe the only thing, the elements will change here, the score you have to give, right, whatever the cost is you are bearing. So, delivery cost, service cost you can find out. Now, you have also calculated this one is given to you. So, what is the total penalty now? 1 plus 1 plus 1 in the first case 3%, second case B 2% plus 2% plus 3%, this is 7%, C 10%, D 5%. Now, the quoted price, let us say each supplier has quoted a individual price. Now, this is the supplier A has quoted you 86.25, B 83.24, C 85.1 and D 85. Now, using these two values, right, this total penalty and the quoted price, now you can find out the net SPI divided by net adjusted price, right. Now, it is how much? Now, 3%, let us say 3% of 86.25, whatever it comes, you have to add this to the total. So, this is a new score that is coming. So, or you can say 1.03 into let us say 86.25. So, 1.03 into 86.25. Similarly, 1.07 into 83.24, right. Similarly, you can add on, right. 1.1 into 85.1 and 1.05 into 85. Now, this figure that is coming, which is including the penalty. Now, if you look at this 4, now what is happening, you can easily say okay, this is the costliest one, then second is I think this one, third is this one and fourth is this one. So, this gives you an idea whether actually looking at the total cost of ownership. So, this is the total cost of ownership if I look at which company is supplier is the best for me. So, after this we have another method which is called the weighted point plan. Now, what is happening here? Now, performance factors are graded according to their importance to the organization. For example, delivery reliability might be more important for some organization than for others. The supplier's total rating then is calculated and the supplier's offering can be adjusted if necessary to meet the purchasing organization's need. Now, look at this example. Now, weighted point plan. Each vendor is scored on various factors like quality, delivery and price. These factors are weighted and a composite rating is then calculated for each vendor. Now, depending upon the importance a purchaser attaches to a particular attribute, he fixes a weight for it. The total weight is 100, obviously it has to be 100. Now, let us say the weightages are 60, 25 and 15% in this case for quality, delivery and price, right. So, quality 60, delivery 25 and price 15, let us say in this case. Now, what is happening? There are 3 suppliers, look at this example, 3 suppliers. So, X, Y and Z, so these are common, right. So, the lots received in terms of quality is 90, 100 and 70, so for X, Y and Z. Now, what is accepted out of it? Out of 90, 80 of this is accepted for X, out of 100, 90 is accepted for Y, out of 70, 60 is accepted. So, this is the amount of what you have demanded and what you are now accepting only because there are some damages or something, right. So, what is the quality rating? Now, 80 by 90 into 60. Now, what is this 60? This 60 is the weightage that you have provided, okay. Similarly, 90 upon 100 into 60 because you are talking about quality in these 3 cases, 60 by 70 into 60. So, this is the total score that you got for quality rating, right. Similarly, you have got this and you can find out for delivery rating for X, Y and Z, which is this 3, 19.4, 20, 21.42. Now, if you come to the similarly the price rating now. Now, there are these 3 suppliers have given a price of 13.5, 13 and 14.5, okay. Now, there is obviously this is the quoted price from the suppliers end and you have agreed to it maybe. Now, what is how do you find this rating? Now, 13 is the lowest price. Now, this is the lowest price divided by 13.5, right, because this is the price that this supplier has quoted against this supplier into 15 which is the weightage. So, you get 14.44. Similarly, for second this is same because 13 this is the lowest cost supplier, 13 by 13 into 15. So, 15, 13 by 14.5 into 15. So, you are comparing against the lowest supplier, right. Now, you have got these values, all these values, right. So, for the composite rating now is supplier X, Y and Z 53.3, 54, 51.42 for quality, delivery 19.4, 20, 21.44, right, price 14.4, 15 and 13.4. Now, if I total it up, it becomes for supplier X it is becoming 87.21, supplier Y 89, supplier Z 86.28. So, obviously this gives me a clear idea in terms of the weightage attached, and after the rating is done, I will find the lowest cost supplier is here, is the third one, which is Z. So, this is a very helpful method because it helps you to understand how to evaluate your supplier. Now, let us take a question. This is a problem for you, kindly solve this problem. So, there are supplier A inputs, which is total quantity supplied 10 units, total quantity accepted 8 units, price per unit $10, delay in delivery 20% time of delay. Supplier B inputs are given to you, total quantity supplied is 20 units, total quantity accepted is 18 units, price per unit is $15 and delay is 10%. Weight for each of these above factors is quality 60%, price 20%, delivery 20%. So, now your job is to take it as an exercise and try to find out which supplier is better out of these two, right. So, today we have learnt about what is e-procurement and how e-procurement is beneficial for organizations and what kind of benefits it gives to the B2B firms, and then we also understood about how B2B firms select their suppliers and how they evaluate their suppliers, right. So, we looked at 2-3 approaches, and so that would be, I think, very helpful for you in real life also when you are trying to do some real life exercise, right. So, this is what we had for the day. So, we will wind up the lecture out here. So, we will meet in the next lecture. Till then, take care of yourself and thank you very much.